Garp just keeps moving upwards in the ranking of the most powerful One Piece characters in history as we see him casually throwing fists with Prime Roger very shortly before God Valley. And come on, how strong please is Rocks really if it took both of these guys teaming up, right? As you can see, once again, we've got a ton of new insane stuff to get into, like the true power of the Pirate King, the strongest Marine, and the Kuja tribe? Huh. Okay, random, but let's get right into it. A lot to unpack. Because chapters like these do remind me why I do love the series so much. They're insanely dense, goofy, and somehow even more serious in some parts than I'm ever prepared for. Like, it's an emotional roller coaster. I mean, like, literally just look at Garp and Roger here facing off. This is, by the way, the first time we've ever actually seen these two dudes go toe-to-toe in the manga after decades and decades of hearing the epic tales of their rivalry, and Oda has not disappointed, I would say. Or at least, I'm not disappointed. I'm not sure about you. Now, I'm kind of giddy down under, tingling in places I didn't even know I could tingle because Garp clocked Roger and made him look pretty damn silly, I'd say. You know, gave him that Luffy face real quick here. I thought it was a fun way to remind everyone that Garp is, in fact, that guy. I mean, we've seen him level cities, and we've seen Roger clash evenly with the likes of Whitebeard and Odin, but now we're seeing that Garp isn't some hockey clashing wannabe. This man ducked and dipped by Roger's blade and then made Roger's face look like a jelly bean getting crushed in my hand. And he did that in front of the hottest women alive. I guess poor Roger, no wonder he had to sail oceans away to find his wife when everything was said and done, right? Let's be honest, he probably never be able to link up with the Kuja girls again after Papa Garp here embarrassed him like that. Garp was the alpha and the omega here. I'm all here for it. And he didn't give a crap if Shaki or Gloriosa were watching. He only wanted to fist Roger. That came out wrong. My bad. Anyways, I'm sure I'm glazing up Garp a little bit. He's one of the coolest characters in the show, what can I do? But we have to also remember that Roger and him were equals. At least as far as things go here, it seems like they were supposed to be equals. Everyone and their mother says they were rivals and equals, but this chapter ever so slightly seemed to put Garp above Roger even? I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing things. I don't think it's enough to confirm that Garp is above the Pirate King, but I do think it at least stands him solidly on business as one of the top 3 people of his era, right? I hope you agree. Is that just me glazing? I don't know. I would say that the chapter even frames it that way, implying what I've always thought to be true, that Rocks was the top dog, and then right below him were Roger and Garp. Now, I'm not saying that Whitebeard and Shiki weren't probably up there too. They very much probably were, and honestly fairly close because we do know that they both go on to become top tier enemies and rivals of Roger after Rocks is defeated. But I don't know, I kind of feel like this chapter feels like Oda's way of clearing everything up here and sorting out who was where on the totem pole of power during that era of legends. Though this fight actually was way more important, at least to me, for another reason, because obviously you can kind of feel the rivalry a little bit, like no one's trying to kill each other here. Nonetheless, still a cool fight. I don't know, dude, like seriously, I don't know how else to put this. This fight was fun, right? It's funny. It starts with Roger getting messed up by Shaki, and then considering how insane Oda was for putting her in this dominant stand over him pose afterwards. I mean, Roger, you sly fox, I see you over there. You know what would happen if she knocked you out, huh? Now, got a little bit of Brook in you, I would say. I don't know, maybe they're related. It's goofy. He's yelling through a little snail megaphone. He's winding up sword swings like they're baseball bats, and he's trying to trade blows with Garp and getting bodied. I don't know, Roger's kind of having fun here, similar to how Luffy's sometimes having fun. I actually want that megaphone really badly, by the way. I mean, Toei, can you please turn that into merch? It looks really cool. I don't know. Honestly, one of my favorite panels in general recently, despite it being pretty simple, I guess, was Garp just lining up a cannonball ready to smoke that thing at Roger. Like, what a great callback to Garp ripping cannonballs at his grandson. Is it a callback? I mean, I guess so, but I guess it happened before that in the story. I don't know. I think it counts. All right. I do love the idea that Garp is a literal rail gun of destruction solely because his hockey infusion into cannonballs is just absolutely next level. Black blades are nothing compared to the mighty power of Garp's ball. Now, to be real with you, I don't particularly know why it cracks me up so much to see him use his literal cannon of an arm, but it is kind of endearing, you gotta admit that. It's simple, clean, pretty fun, classic One Piece, and I almost feel like we've been missing a lot of that lately amongst this like dump of insanity with the Rocks Pirates and everything that we've been getting, right? That's not to say we haven't been getting some crazy zany combat. I mean, that is Gear 5th's entire vibe, right? But it's almost too cartoonish in a way and wacky sometimes. I'm not complaining. I hope you get what I'm saying, right? I love it, but this is just a slick and good amount of funny vibes, just how I like it, kind of old school vibes. This is the One Piece vibe more than anything, more than I think Gear 5 has been in general. It's really funny to see Roger panic, Garp get a little bit too crazy into his antics, and the girls literally stomp all over the Pirate King's crew. Except my man Rayleigh, did I mention he's my favorite character, who proves that he's the smoothest dude of all time. This man has seduced me years ago with his crazy aura, just cool vibes, right? And I mean, his stocks are just going up in my eyes at least. It's fairly clear that Roger, despite his notoriety, isn't the top tier threat that we know he becomes later on. Everyone in this chapter kind of makes him look a little bit goofy. Very similar to Luffy, by the way, like strong Luffy vibes. If it was just his simp nature, I'd probably give him the pass here because I'd let Shaki hit me and stand spread over me too, I guess, but Garp ripping into him doubled down on it. So let's get really into... Yes, what's going on?
Hey, hi, hello, it's me, the Fleet Admiral Manu, and let me tell you something, Emo Stomy Reverse here recently inspired me big time. He gave me an idea. Watch. Arise!
Wait, what?
Manu, what's going on is that the ultimate crossover event is here. Sun Jin-woo from Solo Leveling has joined AFK Arena, and you can get Sun Jin-woo totally free when you log in right now.
Time to aura farm.
Exactly. The Shadow Monarch is dominating the battlefield, unlike me, who's in his office while Marijo is burning, but hey, he even has his solo leveling system, letting him boost stats permanently in an infinite power curve and synergizing explosively with Chaehae-in.
Chaehae-in is my goat, bro.
By the way, why spend time grinding when I can just auto-crush? I've gotta let Emu know about this, but then they'll know I'm not well, if I just activate Shadow Auto-Crusher mode, my team can conquer stages 24/7 while I just sit back, relax, and look out the window. Nothing happening there. You can just watch Sun Jin-woo fight monsters himself in-game while laying back and enjoying the fruits of victory outside the game, just how I like doing it. And AFK Arena gives you unprecedented rewards with players getting 10 free summons daily during the first month. That is over 1,000 summons, and if I complete daily quests, I can even get a free summon chance for a rare hero every single day.
Actually kind of does make me wonder how Sun Jin-woo would power scale against some of the other anime characters.
Funny you should mention that because you can settle the ultimate anime debates in-game since AFK Arena has co-branded with other anime and IPs before. I can forge the ultimate crossover army in AFK Arena, having Sun Jin-woo go up against isekai legends like Ainsul Gol or Rimuru, deploy your dream matchups, record replays, and flex your wins on social media, or with Big News Morgan. Stop debating and start dominating with AFK Arena. Alright, go on with whatever you've been doing.
Well, with that, back to the video, I guess. I mean, considering that God Valley is only like a couple of months, maybe a year after this in the story, it goes to show how similar Roger and Luffy truly are. Like, I now more and more understand why people who meet Luffy are like, oh, you're a lot like my captain. Empresses fall for them, the Straw Hat is in like prime focus this chapter, and you know, and they do seem to really have that same goofy but powerful energy going on. They both too, you know, get exponentially stronger in power, hockey, and skill in a very short amount of time, it seems. And I don't know, Oden's flashback that we got during Wano did make Roger out to be even more silly, but most of the time that we see Roger, it's kind of this cool, rad, badass vibe, right? Like the strongest guy to ever do it. The Pirate King, throwing out the Vine departures or leaping to face off against rocks, but in this chapter, he's just a young gunning pirate looking to make a name for himself, to hook up with a bombshell like Shaki, or I don't know, just have fun. I really feel like this chapter humanizes Roger in a way that the story kind of desperately needed without me ever realizing it, but I don't know, I can't quite put in words why I love this chapter particularly so much. I just really vibe with it, and I'm really hoping that after Luffy solves the emo debacle in Elbaf, we get some stuff with Loki and Scopper that make me feel this way again, this time with the Straw Hats. It's kind of been a bit of a while, right? Not sure if you'd agree. Also, a little bit of an aside here, I do think that this chapter also makes it clear for two reasons why Roger chose Garp to raise Ace, right? Because first off, he's an absolute beast and is crazy strong, but I've always kind of wondered why he wouldn't choose someone like, I don't know, Rayleigh for the gig, considering that they were best friends after all. And straight up, I do think that there's a good case to be made that Roger was jealous of his wingman for stealing Shaggy's heart. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my best buds, but if they go with my celebrity crush, I don't know, I probably wouldn't ask them to raise my kids. Now, spite is a powerful force, even for the bros here. And considering that I'm talking about kids at this point, I do think it's a good time to also talk about something that my mind immediately went to when I saw Roger and Garp square off here, right? You too? Because if this is how powerful Prime Garp was, just how powerful are Dragon and Luffy? I mean, he's a sun god, probably, who's capable of squaring up with the likes of Kaido, Big Mom, the Admirals, but what about Dragon? Like, thinking back to the classic anime tropes where the sons always surpass the fathers, you know, Naruto, Gohan, I don't know, freaking characters like Ichigo and Gon. This is kind of the entire shonen thing. They're powerhouse kids who are supposed to surpass and, in the end, do surpass their dads. It's basically a tried and true statement of anime at this point. Boy surpasses his daddy. So, what does that mean for Dragon, right? His dad crushes pirate kings. What the heck is Dragon capable of? Now, we're all but confirmed to know that he has Conqueror's Haki, right? During Marineford, a few people aren't surprised by Luffy's Color of Kings, specifically because they found out that Dragon is his father, which is actually kind of odd because Garp is literally there. Why did no one go like, oh, well, he's Garp's grandkid, so, you know, no wonder he's strong when talking about Luffy's Haki? Is it because Dragon's is even crazier than that? Like, I don't know. I'm just things that are keeping me up at night, right? And I mean, to me, that kind of makes sense. He's the #1 most wanted person of the world government right now, so his power, his potential devil fruit, and his Haki being at least around Shanks's level, if, I don't know, I'm gonna say it, I know this is gonna get me in trouble, but maybe even a little bit stronger than Shanks? I could see that. You know, that reputation is slowly starting to track a little bit for me. Unless he's just straight up the total fraud that some people think he is, that would be a bit of a shame though, right? A bit of a disappointment. I actually wouldn't even be all that surprised if we see Dragon in the upcoming chapters now, because 1156 also makes me think that we might actually finally be getting to see the true battles of God Valley way sooner than we all thought. Dragon would have been a teenager around this time and probably already a Marine, and I have theorized before that it might have been God Valley itself that made him defect from the Marines after seeing all the atrocities that the world government was, you know, enabling during that incident. So I don't know, but seeing a rowdy young dragon kicking Babbles or Shaggy's butt isn't off the table here. That's all I'm saying. But if that were to happen soon, you know that I just want to see the absolutely psychotic matchups that Oda has been creating here. I mean, once again, the ending of this chapter with all of the rocks reveals really does make me think that this flashback has just completely gotten away from Loki and Harold and Elbaf and is just straight up shifting into Rox's master plan. Kind of funny, unexpected. I'm not complaining. I think it's awesome. I just wonder if Oda was like, yeah, you know, F it. I'm just gonna go for it right now and explain a bunch of stuff. Which very clearly, all of that came to a climatic end during God Valley, right? All the key players have now been set. The Marines, the Roger pirates, and all of the Rocks pirates have now all appeared in this chapter. I don't know. I just kind of feel like in my bones, it might happen. If not in the next chapter or two, at least within the next year, I think that God Valley is finally gonna happen in the manga. I don't know. And that would mean we'll finally get to see the ungodly power of Rox Zebek at full blast as well. Oh, what? You thought I cared about Roger or Garp? Well, I do. They're both really cool. I like them a lot, but they aren't anything compared to Rox. Apparently, at least. Like, that's what Oda is kind of like implying all the time. So remember, we do know that Garp and Roger were teaming up in order to take down one Rox. Sengoku literally stated this in chapter 957 when we first really heard about this crew to begin with. Which I gotta say, after seeing him raid Marijoa all by himself, force the strongest pirates in the world onto his crew, and have a hostile takeover of Pirate Island, it kind of makes sense that Rox is, you know, that guy. The kind of guy that dwarfs the competition in terms of pure aura and power. I mean, let's be real here. If it actually turns out that way, imagine a galaxy impact, a divine departure being just shrugged off by that beast of a man while Marines, Holy Knights, pirates alike are just dropping by his intense hockey. I mean, in my head, it is incredibly cool. I have the highest of expectations. And this is exactly the kind of chapter that I needed right now. A chapter that lets me relax a little bit on the lore and the theories and just enjoy the cool and epic ideas that Oda could toss forward, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, there was still a lot of sick lore reveals at the end of this chapter, and I'm gonna get into that. Don't worry, we're heading there. But I just wanted to really let the hype set in because I haven't felt this way reading a chapter in a long time. Not because I haven't been enjoying them, but just in a different type of hype, I guess is the best way I can put it. Thinking back, honestly, Roof Piece might be the last time I felt this giddy watching characters fight. I'm not sure if you can relate to this. There have been plenty of awesome fights since then, like Garp versus Kuja, but this one just feels really fun and exciting. And all of these big names that I guess that we have been all, reading or watching for so long, finally being at center stage. I mean, 6 years ago, I could not have imagined how intense these chapters would be, especially with all of the stakes and the lore that we've now been getting, right? Like, God Valley used to be just this really cool, fun Smash Bros style battle in my mind, all the strong people were there. But now knowing that the world is ending, Imu being this demonic god thing, Rocks trying to take over the world from a shadowy abyss monster, and then for some reason, Roger was like, I gotta stop that. I just want to know more than anything why. Like, why did Roger and Garp stop Rocks? The dude could have saved the world, at least that's what it's being portrayed like, right? Like, drop him after he does that? Did they not know what was happening with the Celestial Dragons, them hunting people there? We gotta address the fact that it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, Garp knew that God Valley was a hunting ground, and he was kind of chill with it. I mean, he doesn't like the Celestial Dragons, but the dude's still crushing drinks with some baddies on a beach until Roger decided to head there too. Which I do know comes with its own weird moral and ethical implications for these characters, but I don't really want to think about all that right now. I just want to know why Roger felt like he needed to stop Rocks. Was he just petty, or was he ignorant of the state of the world and stopped Rocks, not realizing that he may have actually been doing a good thing? Or did they know something about Rocks that we don't know yet, but once we learn about it, we're like, oh yeah, they definitely needed to stop him. Though I also really like the idea that Roger defeats Rocks and only then immediately realizes the error of what he's just done. Like, he realizes how ignorant and dumb he was and then goes on his big quest to learn about the ancient history. Honestly, it would be the most shocking reveal to me to see that Roger, of all the people, almost caused the end of the world simply because his petty beef with Rocks. Or I do think there is a big case to be made also that Roger and Garp recognized that if they didn't stop Rocks there and then, no one would ever be able to do so, right? He would take down Imu, but then he would be the big dog. So maybe the stakes surrounding the crown jewel of Hachinosu are much larger than all of us have even realized at this point. Now, I must admit that if we do get God Valley soon, I do need to see a few people fight for real this time. Like, there have been so many epic crew members revealed for the Rocks Pirates, and every time I see them, I just can't help but imagine what nasty kind of fighting styles they might have. Just for an example, how does Canon Shiki fight in One Piece? We have seen what he did in the movie Strong World, but that version of Shiki is clearly nothing compared to the mighty canon version that we're gonna get for the Rocks crew. Does he have the same levitation fruit? I probably think so. At least Chapter 0, the Strong World promo chapter, seemed to have woven his devil fruit into his canon toolkit, right? If so, I would love to see Shiki just slashing through God Valley with his two blades like a Beyblade of Destruction, doing some of that Captain Levi style nonsense. Now, it's important to remember, during God Valley, they aren't feat swords just yet, so I'd assume that he just uses them with his hands, right? And then there are the new kids on the block, Silver Axe and Babel. I gotta say, I really preferred my nickname of Big Chops for this fisherman, but I'll settle for Bobble. It's kind of cute. A catfish monk fishman? That sounds pretty wicked, honestly. And by the way, what's up with the flaming Nika style hair? Like, did anyone else
catch that, or was it just me that was thinking that was very uncanny of Luffy? Yeah, to be completely honest, it's probably just a cool design choice. It's probably just regular fire, but it's kind of oddly convenient if you ask me. So I do wonder if maybe Babel inspired the creation of the Sun Pirates and he has some cool Nika ties, and that's why he joined Rox's crew. Honestly, thinking about it now, that probably would make some sense. I mean, hell, with a fiery mane like that, I'd gamble that there's a good chance that Babel unironically could be the man marked by flames. I know, it's kind of like with Luffy's mom. Everyone's Luffy's mom, everyone's the man marked by flames, but let's be real here. Fiery hair causing whirlpools with Fishman karate kind of checks out in a way, right? Especially considering that he was a member of the Rock's crew, him keeping a poneglyph for himself would very much work. And I think we can all agree that every once in a while, Oda drops a design that, you know, you just gotta love for no reason other than it being cool. And I think this fishman here is clearly one of them. He's bulky, he's a little bit doofy looking, but also he does seem like a crazy unit and a half here. Bubble, you're a good one. I'm gonna put you on my characters to keep an eye out for. I hope he's still around. And by the way, so is Silver Axe. Like, what the heck? Okay, maybe I've been wrong for a while and we haven't seen what this man was all about. I really thought the dude in the silver armor with the big axe among the other Rocks pirates on Thriller Bark would be Silver Axe. Kind of made sense, but I'm not mad whatsoever. This design here is sick. The X glasses, dude, I need those. I need those with the megaphone, please. Both of them. It reminded me immediately of Sapphire from Film Z, and to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if the two are more similar than we initially thought. I actually did see a thread floating around, and really it wasn't even a thread, it was just a one-off comment somewhere on X, and it was something like, Silver Axe does look like a Kainu. And honestly, like at first I was like, what? But low-key, kind of right? I mean, he kind of does, but I'm also getting big Smoker vibes from him too. Like, I wouldn't be too surprised if we get a reveal at some point that this man was working for the Marines or even is the original leader of Sword. How ironic, by the way, would it be for a guy to name his pirate persona Silver Axe when in reality he was the founder of a Splinter Cell organization like Sword? Pretty hilarious. But also, speaking of him, I did notice a really cool detail I quickly want to share with you guys, which for one seems like a really intentional choice, because when he's walking up to Hachinoso here, Silver Axe is fairly normal size. He's about the same size as the dude who kicks him, but then in the next panel, he's just this Goliath of a man. Like, he's huge, and the cloak that clearly fit him no longer works. What I'm trying to say is, could it be that Silver Axe had originally a Rouge Devil Fruit? Like, we don't have a name for it yet, but it would explain this massive size increase, right? A Rouge's ability is to convert damage into size and power, and clearly Silver Axe grows after getting kicked. So I think it would make a lot of sense for him to be converting that kick straight up into growing into a bigger size. That way he can then go fully brawly like he does to just grab this dude's head and just crush it in his palm. Oda can be somewhat inconsistent, I will admit that for sure, but I do think for right now this makes more sense that this is on purpose and very much part of his powers. Alright, but now I know who you really want me to talk about, right? Gloriosa. Definitely not Rocks. No, he can wait a little bit longer. It's Kuja pirate time, baby! Seriously though, I guessed a lot of things would happen in this chapter. More Herald and Loki stuff, you know, Rocks maybe invading Hachinosu, maybe a cutback to the modern time like current timeline with Luffy reacting to something that Loki said, I don't know, but what I had not on my bingo card for this chapter whatsoever was this chapter to center around the Kuja pirates suddenly, who were apparently on their Cat's Eye, Blackpink, and K-pop Demon Hunter vibe, like sailing the ocean as an idol group. Now, to be fair, I don't think that they were the singing type, but they were clearly worldwide heartthrobs. I actually thought it was really fun and cool, especially seeing Prime Gloriosa absolutely stunt on everyone, only then to be completely overshadowed by Prime Shaki. And yeah, I'll be the first to admit I may be totally off base with my previous prediction that Gloriosa is Teach's or Buggy's mom. I thought that might make sense given that she's on Rox's crew, and the jury is still technically out on that one, but I definitely got it wrong that Gloriosa fell in love with Rox over Roger. But boy, this chapter made that one very clear. But
what we don't see is what happens after all this, right? We don't see Gloriosa leave and then at some point somehow join Rox's crew, and we don't know if the Kuja pirates sailed and assisted Rox, or if Shaki took control of them and Gloriosa got the boot before or after God Valley. At this point, it's kind of all up in the air as far as I'm concerned. And can I just say for a moment, because I do think it's insane that this happened, Roger, what's up, buddy? Like, what are you doing? Gloriosa is like a certified 20 out of 10. Like, yeah, I get it, Shaki is fine like wine, but Gloriosa wants you bad and you're not even gonna entertain that? Ugh. Who knew that Roger's biggest character flaw was gonna be that he just loved that chase? It actually lines up pretty well with his character being this top tier adventurer, I guess. Him being the type of guy to reject a literal goddess of a woman because she wants him, because it's not a treasure hunt, is kind of hilarious and a little bit toxic to me, but I'll take it as a character flaw. With that being said though, I definitely still am not certain what the whole point of this part of the story was, right? Like, the obvious answer is that the Kuja pirates are gonna be way more important in this period than we thought, and, you know, Oda's just kind of sawing that seat now, I guess, and I'm not complaining. It was absolutely awesome. I did not expect it, and it did crap me up, setting up a hilarious chapter. I mean, that might just have been what Oda wanted to do here, goof around a little bit and show us a little bit more what that era looked like. I'm honestly just here to enjoy it, and maybe it does even explain some stuff, like why Blackbeard invaded Amazon Lily, how Boa became a warlord, and why Shaki and Gloriosa were revered as such insane pirates. I mean, the Kuja pirates being held in such high regard across several eras does explain why so many different factions would be locked in on having them in some way or capacity. After all, very clearly they do seem to be some top tier threats capable of seducing and dropping the likes of Roger, Scopper, and, you know, probably a handful of the Rocks boys too, though I still think that maybe these lovely ladies are way more crucial to the plot than we all previously expected, but I still need some more time and some more details from Oda to stew on that idea. So in case you've got anything, please toss it in the comments. I would love to hear your ideas, because there must be more here. I'm just probably not seeing it myself. Anyways, I also wanted to point out something really fun from this chapter that I, as a very big SBS fan, where's my manga? Here. Ooh. Plastic bag, which is the fact that Oda drew Tritoma in the series. Now, Tritoma is the little young Kuja pirate who was carrying the letters for Gloriosa, and if you don't know why I'm very hyped about her, it's because she eventually goes on to become the Empress of Amazon Lily between Shaki and Boa. It goes Gloriosa, Shaki, her, and then Boa, which means that maybe, just maybe, and you know what's coming, we might see some Luffy's mom stuff in the near future. I mean, just look at her. I'm just saying. Look at her face. All right, I get it. But seriously, I do think with Garp being in this chapter, and specifically this fight, and Oda clearly making out the Kuja pirates to be an absolute, you know, force and fall in love with strong pirates, I think the idea that Tritoma, who gives massive Luffy energy as well, I gotta say, could be his mom, does make a lot of sense. Especially if there's a chance that Dragon and she met during the encounter on God Valley, or maybe afterwards. But with that out of the way, let's now finally talk about Rox again. First off, I love that this dude just bodies anyone who disagrees with him or disrespects his friends. I mean, Zebek giving Kaido a stern boot to the face for suggesting that Rox use force to overpower his friend Harold is pretty funny. I kind of love that bit. It's really cool to see Zebek not only finally in the series, but also humanized and kind of paralleling both Teach and Luffy when it comes to his crew. Like, he has parts of both in a weird way. But obviously, I won't ignore the biggest reveal in chapter 1156, because Rox lays out his key needs for his grand plan, and we get a little bit of foreshadowing or hinting at the true nature of some big moving parts in the series. We now know that his plan revolves around 3 key things: 2 mythical devil fruits, and the Galela giants. Now, my immediate ideas here, of course, that he's talking about the darkness and the Nika fruit, which I think just makes a lot of sense, right? They look the same. It would explain why he wanted Harold, of all people, to eat one, considering that the ancient giants have some deeper connection to Joy Boy or Nika than, you know, many other people do. So I do think it's safe to assume, for now at least, that the Nika fruit might have been the original treasure of Elbaf. I think that this could explain why Loki ended up eating a powerful devil fruit from Elbaf as well, because even though we did see a fruit get switched or stolen a couple of chapters back during Harold's execution, Loki eating a fruit that Rox wanted Harold to eat does sort of track. Honestly, I want to get into all of this stuff in way more detail in its own video on Tuesday, since obviously this is an insane lore drop that needs way more time spent on it, but I didn't want you to feel like I was just ignoring it and like didn't realize it happened. No, whole video coming on that. What I'm actually way more interested in, only because it's a newer concept in the series, is how Rox knew about the Gallela and why he needs them to show his crew what stands at the top of the world. Now, my gut check idea is something that I've been talking about for quite a bit now, which is the idea that the Gallela company may have been the shipwrights who built Pluton and maybe even the other ancient weapons too. You know, the massive warship that we've been hearing about ever since Alabasta. Like, how many chapters ago was that? 800? Now, why do I think that? And why do I think that they will be all essential to taking down Imu? If you want to know, you should check out this video where I discuss it in detail right here. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Thanks as usual to all of our fantastic Patreon members, and I will see you in the next video on Tuesday. So make sure to check it out. All right, see you there.